say, I'm definitely new to this whole recording stuff. So aside from all the annoying ums and uhs and lack of quality, you should be aware I completely forgot about my volume while I was recording, so it's going to clip a lot in this video. It shouldn't be too distracting, but I apologize. Yo, it's Arrow, and I'm going to show you how we can turn almost really good drum loop like this. Sounds fine. Crispy. Little trash. But doesn't feel human. Oh. That feels very different. And we can get there as fast as this. Sounds familiar. Sorry from. Pretty lame. Let's see how we can do that. And we can make our own grooves that fit our specific tracks perfectly. First step, you're going to need the SWS extensions for Reaper. And if you don't know how to get those, it's super duper easy. I'm going to leave a link with a good explanation in the description. But assuming you've done that, first step is the best way. I love doing this is maybe I have a sick groove from a drum sample, or I've glitched out some sounds and I have a groove in there and I just need to extract it and then put it on everything else. So in this example, I'm just grabbed a loop off of Splice. It sounds like this. Oh, that's a pretty nice groove. And maybe I just don't like the drums. And now I need to program my own drums. I know my own drum sounds are sick, or the Splice one-shots I grabbed are sick, and I need them to have this groove. First thing we're gonna do is making sure that this matches our tempo. The tempo of the sample we're using, the groove we're using, matches the tempo of our project. So two ways in Reaper, you can like change time signature here, or what I do more often is I just grab the sample and stretch it till it matches. And I'm gonna make sure there we go, on time. So now that that's done, if we don't do this, it gets a really weird outcomes. Super important. Next step, we actually need to split the audio at the transients where we want to do it. And we can do this in one button, like this, and then just split. But for those who don't have my shortcuts, I'm going to show you what it is. It is called item, dynamic split items. You just press this one button, or you make the shortcut from that action, and this pops up. And you can shake the threshold, and these two horizontal lines will adjust, and then it'll split at different places. And using this hysteresis will also have pretty dynamic changes on it. Once you get used to this, it takes literally a few seconds, and I'm just gonna set it to what I think is pretty close. Now I'm gonna put split, and boom. I have what we need to select to make a groove from our media items. Something that you should also know, if maybe let's say, oh, I think this tiny little click here is an important part of the groove. All I have to do here is split it, and now I select everything again, and then we can make a groove from this selection. So all of these, the start points of all of these media items become the input for a groove file. To do that, I go into my options and I'm gonna search groove, which again, if you have the SWS extensions, this will be there. I'm gonna scroll through. The one we want for now is get groove from selected media items. I'm gonna run this function and I get absolutely no feedback. So this is exactly why I'm making this video. The next step, we can open up the groove tool, and I already have a shortcut for it, but so you know what to look for. It's called Show Groove Tool. If you want to make your own shortcut, you just press Add here and choose whatever button you want to make it pop up. So I'm going to use my shortcut. Here's the semicolon, boom. So what we just saved when we made a groove from the selected media items is now called user groove. And 99% of the time, you're going to want to save this so you can apply this to each item. Like if you have your synth pads or something, or some stabs, or a melody in MIDI that you'd also like to sync, you're going to be using the same groove file over and over again. So you might as well save it. Maybe you'll use it in another track. Maybe you just have a session where you throw in a bunch of grooves from Splice and save them for later. It's saved as user groove first, so you have to right click, click save groove, and you can call it whatever you want. I usually call it 00 test if I expect to throw it away. But you'll also notice these other options here. And what I want you to notice for now is I have velocity set to 100%. So it should apply to whatever MIDI I add this to, or media items. It should apply all of the velocity changes, 100% of them. And we're going to see how that works. First, let's look at what our MIDI is beforehand. Doesn't even really sound like anything, but I want you to keep in mind, I made this MIDI after hearing this like groove, and it's informed by it. And now we're going to apply that groove. I already named it earlier, 000 test. I apply it, and let's see what we have now. I feel like I could add some more fills. But it has the groove I want, and we can just add and work from here. But this is a far away from super dry. So I apply the groove, and this one adds velocity. I forgot. I didn't rename it after using the normal one. So we'll talk about that in a second. So if I used, I'm gonna name this. So this is what I got from the Splice sample. I'm gonna call it 00 test, and I'm gonna undo this part. And now I'm gonna apply 000 test, and we're gonna notice there's no velocity change because the SWS as it is does not apply groove. Well, it applies groove if you make the groove file from a MIDI file, which I don't think anyone really ever would. You usually you have a cool sample, a cool sound with groove, and then you want to apply it to MIDI. So what I did is I have my own function, and I made this action, and you can grab it off of like Reapack. I'll leave a link down below if you know how Reapack works. And if you don't know how Reapack works, there will also be a link to a good explanation video, and you can grab my link, and you'll just automatically have these functions in here. And mine works essentially the same, and it automatically prompts you to save the file because you should probably save the file. That's pretty much it for how it works. Let me make sure I covered everything. You just need a sample. You have to split it. It's based on where the media items start. Use the dynamic split tool. You can do it in a button in a couple of seconds, and then you have it. If maybe you want to steal a groove from a song, you can do that. I'm not sure about morally, but you physically can do that. It's really helpful to keep in mind. Sometimes it helps if you low pass or you high pass. So what, like, let me give you I'm gonna get copyright stricken if I use an example, but let's say I have this one. Let's say that there's a bunch of other instruments playing. If I throw on an EQ and I low pass, I don't have to. Oh, sorry. I don't have to worry about like the hi-hats and the singer and stuff affecting what the dynamic split tool sees as transients. So I would use the EQ, print that WAV file out, and then use dynamic split, and then make the groove file. And then I just have that forever to apply to whatever song I want. So let's also give it a few tries on this and see what different grooves can sound like. So here's as it is. Let's try some of the ones I've made. bang-a-lang. There's not really enough hits to hear how this works, but sounds a lot different. But we would need like, and you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Cool. So you get the idea. If you change the sensitivity, you get different results. Drastically different results. You can change the amount velocity changes in the position. So again, remember, if you're using the default SWS one and you make a groove file from a sample or a loop or whatever, it doesn't save the velocity. That's why I have my own function, but it will apply the groove. And you'd use that on, maybe you have some splice samples, some one-shots, you throw them on here, you select them all, then you apply the groove, and their start times will align with these start times from the sample you grabbed. I feel like that's everything you should need to know. Keep in mind, I'm going to be throwing some more tools and tutorials out for Reaper and general stuff, including, if you're curious, how I turned this little drum loop, or yeah, doesn't sound that great until we have